Welcome to Jerry Spearman's Cooking Show, Cooking with Jerry, sponsored by Caldwell Banker Lake and Home. Short commercial.
Begin where it ends, and to begin, knock on that door so you can get in, and don't mind the time, forget all that's been. Get lost in the park, find a tree that will last, find a secret path that leads to our house, climb the stairs to the roof, lay flat on your back.
Hope you enjoyed the commercial. Today we're going to be making goulash. The trick to goulash is making it the slow old-fashioned way. We're going to start off with, we've got beef, and we get this on sale at Bilo, little plug for Bilo there. We use London broil, we cut it up into small cubes here. Now today I'm making a double batch, so don't be confused by how much beef I'm using. We're going to be making twice the amount that's on the recipe that you saw at the beginning of the video. If you would like a copy of this recipe, just email me and I'll email you a written copy, and that way you don't have to just guess from what we did on the video. Now, the trick to cooking the beef, the first thing you do is you got to get the temperature up nice and high. Don't be afraid. What you're trying to do is you're trying to braise the outside of the beef and to create a frond. And Americans got this thing about food sticking to the pan. You want it to stick to the pan. That creates a nice, what's called a frond. And we're going to, when we add the tomatoes, it'll actually deglaze that or remove that from the pan, and that'll create a lot of flavor. So don't worry if the beef sticks. That's actually what we want it to do. I turned the temperature up to medium-high. We're going to let this beef braise. In the meantime, we're going to take, I cut up put some potatoes. You're going to normally use 2 to 4. Now, potatoes are not required for goulash. In fact, you can even use green vegetables like green beans. You know what the trick to slicing onion is, Aaron? Aaron's our cameraman over here. All right, is to get the skin off, you cut the top and the bottom. And I always make a little slice like that, and I peel the outside skin off. And that way, you only use what is, you only remove what's absolutely necessary. You just remove that first layer. And you cut that up real nicely, like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this just into small pieces. Now, the mistake a lot of people make when using the onions is they don't cook the onions enough. Onions have a lot of acid in them, and you want to really cook the acidity out of the onion. I don't even like to eat raw onions really in very few things because of the low acidity. But I love onions if they're slightly cooked. So you can see I'm cutting these into about 1/4-inch pieces. Here, and that's going to be the next ingredient we add after the beef. Okay, I'm cooking the beef here. You can see it's kind of getting brown on the outside. Again, we want it to stick to the pan, so don't stir it around too much. We've got salt and pepper is the only thing we have it seasoned with, and so we're just gonna cook the beef. Now, after we cook the beef, and it's just good and braised on the outside. Don't worry if it's really cooked that much on the inside. But after it's good and braised on the outside, we're going to take it out of the pans and we're going to add a little oil and put some onion in. Alright, now I'm going to remove the beef now that I've got it cooked. Maybe a little pink still in it, but cooked and braised pretty good. I'm just going to put that to the side. We're going to add that back in a little bit later. This is a great meal for like a cold, rainy night like that's actually what we got tonight. In the same pan we cooked the beef in, we're going to add a little oil. And we're going to add our onions. Because we're doing a double batch, we're doing 2 onions. Normally you use 1 onion. So just cut this onion up here earlier. Just going to scrape that into the pan. This hot pan. We're going to caramelize that onion. Just cook it to where it's kind of brown and a little bit soft. Okay, now you can see we got a nice good stop. We've got a technical problem. I'd like to point out this is one of these rare situations where my wife can say I told you so, but she said this cutting board is not heat proof, it's plastic, and I put the top pan on it and sure enough it did melt the cutting board. So my wife was right. Alright, see I got this nice frond on the pan. Aaron, get a good shot in there. You can see where it's kind of turning brown and yucky, and a lot of Americans would go, ooh, yuck. That's the way it's supposed to be. That is all flavor there. So anyways, what we're going to do is we're going to add our tomatoes. Now, the amount of tomatoes you use in this is a little bit tricky. But basically, 8 to 10 tomatoes, depending on the time of year. Like this time of year, they don't get very ripe because it's winter. And you don't need as many because there are a lot of starchiness to them or whatever. And so anyways, but in the summer you need more because they've got a lot of water in them and they're very fruity. You can use different types of tomatoes. Today we're using half Roma tomatoes and just kind of half of your normal tomatoes you normally get at the store. What are they called, Liz?
Those are just called slicing.
Slicing tomatoes. So, and we're just going to cook these down until they're nice and soft. So we'll let these cook for probably about 30 minutes. But before we do that, maybe 20-30 minutes, we're going to add 3 heaping spoonfuls of paprika, which I've already pre-measured in here. And you can actually, if you like paprika, if you like fresh paprika, you can add more than 3 tablespoons. 3 tablespoons is about the minimum that I recommend using. Paprika is really what gives the goulash its flavor. I'll probably here, after we turn off the video, add another tablespoon to it. So, anyways, we'll let these cook and let the tomatoes get real nice and soft. Basically, we're going to end up turning this into a soup, and we'll let them cook for a little while, and then I'll be right back with you. And now we're going to have a short commercial and a word from our sponsor. Alright, the tomatoes have cooked anywhere from 10 minutes to 30 minutes. What we want to do is get them nice and soft. And next we're going to add my favorite part, which is the red wine. Now the temptation here is to use really cheap cooking wine. Don't do it. The best thing is probably like a Cabernet. You want something with a little bit of flavor. This is Robert Mondavi Cabernet. Very good for cooking with. I'm going to use a whole cup. And Wilson and Aaron wanted to know if there was any alcohol in this after we cooked it. The answer is no. All the alcohol gets cooked out of it, but it does add a lot of flavor to the goulash. Some of mine over here. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to a little trick. We do not have beef. I do not have beef bouillon. I'm using beef bouillon cubes instead of a beef stock. Take the little cubes. I take 3 of them, and I fill up a cup full of water. Put it in the microwave under the popcorn setting. The reason I use the popcorn setting is I don't really know how to use the microwave, but I know the popcorn setting will turn off automatically after whatever I put in there gets hot. And so anyways, we'll add that bouillon. There you go, into the goulash. And we're going to just let this simmer for a while. And basically at this point, we're going to let it simmer for a good, probably 30 minutes to an hour. Until the tomatoes are really good and cooked, so they're just totally falling apart and being incorporated into the goulash. So we're going to cover it. I'm going to leave it on a simmer, kind of a medium, between medium and low on this stove, and just let it simmer for 30 minutes to an hour. Also, I'm going to check, as soon as the potatoes are done, I'm going to strain those. I want the potatoes, I don't want them crunchy, but I don't want them falling apart when I pick them up. So they'll kind of be done about the consistency of a baked potato. Or not quite to the consistency of baked potato. So they're kind of still staying in their little squares that I have them in, but they're not falling apart. They're not quite done yet. So I'm going to monitor that, and as soon as those are cooked, I'm going to take them out and just shock them with cold water so that they don't just fall apart and that they quit cooking. Alright, by this time the whole house should be smelling wonderful, and what we're going to do here is get a close-up of this, Aaron. Alright, your tomatoes should be really soft by now. They've been cooking on kind of a medium for about 30 minutes. I'm turning it all the way down to simmer. I'm going to add my potatoes. Basically, this is 2 big potatoes in there. And I'm also going to add my meat, which is roughly half a London broil, back into the stew. And I'm going to let this simmer for another 30 minutes, covered. And just let the flavor from the beef and the potatoes and the tomatoes and the red wine all combine into a lovely, lovely, lovely stew. And you can see, one of the ways you know it's about ready is the skin that's left on the tomatoes will just kind of start falling off of the tomatoes, and they'll just kind of start falling apart, and you know it's about ready then. We're going to add our beef in. You can make this vegetarian. You don't have to use beef. I can't imagine it would be very good, which just goes to show there's no reason to be a vegetarian. Alright, so we're going to cover this. We're going to let it simmer for about another 30 minutes, like I said. Alright, well, we're almost ready here. I'm going to uncover it, kind of let you see, get a good close-up there what it looks like. Now, this in itself is good. At this point, you want to take a nice little taste there. Careful, it's real hot. Delicious. You want to decide if you want to add any salt and pepper. You usually don't need any salt. I'm going to add a little pepper just to give it a little bit of punch. I've got some friends who are Indian, and I was a little paprika, and we asked them for some paprika, and I don't know what they gave me, but it was hot. I guess it was Indian paprika, but I'm just adding a little black pepper here for a little zing. You can add cayenne pepper if you want to spice it up, or even a little bit of chili peppers. But add the pepper. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to add approximately 4 tablespoons of lemon juice. And, well, actually, second to the last thing we're going to do. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, and that really makes it even that much better. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the last thing we do to finish it off is we put a cup of cream. And then when you serve it, it's traditional in Hungary, they always put a little cream on the table. You can add more to it if kind of as you like, or even sour cream works as well. But I'm just going to add some cream to it, and then we're going to mix it in. We're going to let it simmer a little bit more, let all the flavors kind of diffuse together. Oh, and as I promised you, the secret to making this a wonderful dish is to get some good fresh French bread. A local store here in Greenwood, Corley's, carries some really good, nice baguettes that we always get. It's got a hard, crunchy, crispy outside, and it's nice and soft inside, which is perfect to go with the stew. And you can kind of see the color of the goulash here, and this is totally ready to serve. You can let this cook longer if you like. It doesn't hurt it to cook. It will also freeze well. But that is basically how we make goulash, and I'll show you what it looks like served in just a second. And this is Aaron with the goulash, getting ready to eat. What do you say, Aaron?
Bon appetit!